The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
People, let's talk about the real reason why the Canucks didn't want Trevor Zegras, and we'll talk about 5 other trades that we just made up that could happen, and if they do happen, we probably know the winning lottery numbers too, okay? Anyways, Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks here on Locked On Canucks. Hit the like button, subscribe if you do enjoy the episode, right? If you do feel nice. One love to the Don't Doze Art Lab for giving us a space to, give you that West Coast bias and continually talk about the Canucks. And on today's episode, we'll be giving you 5 trades that Trevor and I made up. Trevor will be joining us in like a couple of minutes. And we'll discuss, because this is going to be, it's going to be what? One of the most busiest weeks in NHL history. It feels like it. Just hectic times, man. And we already saw a trade today, right? Trevor Zegras gets traded to Philadelphia for a second, a fourth, and a third/fourth liner. Ryan Pooling, however you pronounce his complicated name. And there's some people that are outraged, right? Well, why did Vancouver do this? Why didn't we get Trevor Zegras? You could have got him for nothing. Well, we've talked about this a couple of times, right? The Canucks are going to lose out on a lot of these trades, not have the ability to think about the risk a lot because they didn't get assets for Beggsy and Suter. Right? And Zegras is a project, right? He's a guy you bring in to take a chance on and not so much to be a solution. And, Philadelphia doing their thing this year, acquiring assets. They can make this trade and have it not work out and not really care. Again, the Canucks were never getting Zegras because they never traded Beggsy and Suter. They can't take the chance. And then why does everyone want Trevor Zegras? Same people complaining about Elias Pettersson, right? And the weight, him not working out. Pardon the play on words. But doesn't Zegras give you that as well? And I read something, and I'm not sure if it's completely true, but a lot of people are talking about how Zegras' time with Anaheim felt different after such a promising start because of the complications him and the Ducks had working out their second contract, right? I remember all that quote-unquote drama. And to me, I'm like, yo, I'm a team guy, okay? I'm a team guy. I'm sorry. It's not as if I'm not on board with the players, but I'm a team guy. And yeah, Zegras, an individual talent. Zegras, an NHL cover boy. But yo, if you are being complicated at the contract table when you go negotiating a new deal with a team that you're on that you individually succeeded for, but you guys still suck, and you're being complicated, or there's a bit of a dispute on both sides of the spectrum, a bit of a red flag. And yo, if fans actually believe that that's what started Zegras' downfall there, then that's a huge, big red flag on Trevor Zegras, right? Right? Yeah. And we've said the same thing about Pettersson, right? Like, some people are like, oh, look at how the Canucks treated Pettersson before he signed an 8-year extension and he was forced to do so. That started all the bad voodoo. Like, yo, once you sign the deal, however long it took you to get there, or however you signed it, once you sign it, you got to move on. And you don't hold any vendetta, okay? So yeah, if Zegras had a grudge towards the team he signed a contract with, again, another red flag. And as Trevor alluded to, Kuzma, right, talked about how the Canucks don't want divas in that dressing room, right? Trevor Zegras, he can learn a lot. He can learn a lot, ironically, under Rick Tocchet, and he can evolve and mature. And dude, me and Trevor were idiots at the age of 23 and 24, just immature, a bit selfish, okay? So there's room to grow here for him. But again, the Canucks need solution-based players and they don't have a lot of assets. And Zegras is a project. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that's the ceiling when it comes to who you want replacing JT Miller as the guy behind Pettersson moving forward with this club. Okay, so again, I'm not surprised that we didn't get Zegras. We didn't have the assets. We didn't trade Suter and Besser to take that chance. And B, I don't really care, Trevor.
No, I think Zegras is a guy that you don't really worry about missing out on. And I did see some rhetoric about there, like, oh, this is all that the Flyers paid for Zegras. Like, why didn't the Canucks do this deal? They didn't do this deal because Zegras has been a subpar hockey player for the past couple of seasons, right? And of course, the guy's got the bravado and that, that intensity, I guess, in terms of just wanting to be in the spotlight all the time. But that's not necessarily what makes winners. And I'm kind of glad the Canucks didn't bite the bullet. Again, it would have been like kind of Teddy Blueger, second and a fourth for Trevor Zegras. Prove me wrong, Trevor Zegras, go get it done. But yeah, I mean, that's not a guy I would have wanted the Canucks to pay assets on to get him on this hockey team. Because look, the Canucks next season, their identity is going to be one, unless they drastically change things, which they might do. We'll get into it here in a couple minutes. Unless they drastically change things in terms of who's on this team next season, they're going to be a team that probably wins low-scoring hockey games. That's going to be their modus operandi. And having Trevor Zegras on your team is not really a way to do that. They would not have gotten the most out of Trevor Zegras if he was here with the Vancouver Canucks.
If the Canucks still had Miller and they had a quote-unquote successful season this year, then you take a chance on having this slim asset pool and using like 20% of it or 30% of it or 35% of it on Trevor Zegras. You take that chance then. You hope that this is a bad example only because they're different types of players and the playoffs are where it matters, but it's like getting Sam Bennett for penny on the dollars. Right? Again, you're not taking that chance where the Canucks are right now, what they have in their cupboards. And speaking about their cupboards, like, let's talk about some other trades that Trevor's made up, because at least we know that type of market for that type of project player. And again, isn't that trade very similar to like what Florida did for Sam Bennett in some way, shape, or form? Right? A couple middle round picks. Yeah, we'll take the reclamation project. I mean, we've seen this a couple times with Benning back in the day, right? He would try some of this stuff out, and at least we know like some presidents for a market. I don't know if that connects with some of these other trades that you're about to tell us that you made up that possibly could happen, but things are moving.
Yeah, things are moving, man, and things could be moving this week for the Vancouver Canucks. And you're already starting to see the trade chatter pick up here in Vancouver. And honestly, Kyle, if they are going to be a team that surprises people next season, they're probably going to have to make a big move next week. So, let me rip off my three moves and then I'll kind of let you react to them. But okay, I'll start with the smallest one first. They say always, when it bleeds, it leads. Start with the big one. I'm starting with the small one. I got the Canucks getting William Karlsson in exchange for a third-round pick. And that's just the player who I think the Vegas Golden Knights, if they do want to make a Mitch Marner-like signing, and I think they're going to be, motivated to do so after, getting walloped by Edmonton in round 2. William Karlsson could be hand on the cheap. And I think those are players the Canucks need to look for because, again, at the end of the day, the cap space isn't necessarily there for this team. And look, they're going to have to make some moves in order to clear cap space here. But so I have William Karlsson coming to the Canucks in exchange for a third-round pick. I did stick with this one, man. Call me crazy, but I think this is in the ballpark when I see other rumors out there for this guy. I do have, and I'm dreaming, but I do have Jason Robertson coming to the Canucks for a 2026 unprotected first-round pick, Tom Willander, and Conor Garland. I think the Canucks would prefer to trade Nils Höglander rather than Conor Garland, but I do think that Dallas would rather a player like Garland. They are in win-now mode. And Garland, again, 1 year left on a deal paying him $4.95 million. They don't have to commit to him as long as they'd have to commit to Nils Höglander. The last trade I have, and perhaps this one is maybe an overpay. We'll see how you feel about it. But I do have the Canucks trading with the Philadelphia Flyers for 22-year-old Tyson Foerster in exchange for Max Sasson and their 2025 first-round pick. Foerster, a first-round pick from 2021. I'm trying to pull up in front of me right now, but he's got 25 goals last season, 20 goals the year before, just turned 23. Again, he's 23rd overall from the 2020 draft. I got some size from him at 6'2", 215. I think this is a trade too where maybe it's Archer Sheelov's in their first round pick as well, going the other way. I think Philadelphia would be interested in a goalie. So maybe Max Hassan or Archer Sheelov, depending on the value, one of those two players, and a first for Tyson Forster. So to summarize, 23-year-old Tyson Forster, 25-year-old Jason Robinson to boost the wings, and William Karlsson coming in as more of a stopgap at the center ice position. Boom, bam. Those are my 3 trades that the Vancouver Canucks could make this week.
And Forster just signed a 2-year extension a couple weeks ago. But you're saying, the Sheelovs thing could make someone think. Now these guys just brought Zegras in. I don't know anything about Forster. Like, the stats are one thing. Like, I don't know if you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to fall in love with the back-to-back 20-goal scorer if I don't remember, like, this guy once in the 4 games I've watched the Flyers play over the last 2 years. But, like, outside of the size, like, what does the fancy stats say? Like, I don't know. Like, what's the sign say about this guy? Because that's a lot to give up. That's a lot to give up, considering that. Again, I'm wondering if the Zegras thing makes Marco Rossi's value go a bit lower, but we need a center. Like that first round pick in 2015, like 2025. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to move that unless it's part of something bigger and grander. And like, if it's a guy like Tyson Forster coming the other way, like I hope he's not just like a 20-goal scorer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not good enough.
Well, again, I think you're getting a very young player in Tyson Forster, right? And a right wing that shoots right. I mean, not quite a Brock Besser replacement, although he did have, basically as many goals as Brock Besser this season. He had 25 goals in 81 games. He plays some grit and tenacity too. I think a guy who is still pretty young and can play up and down your lineup. I think he can play in a top 6 role as well. Got good size. So in terms of the fantasy stats, relative to the Flyers, I think the Flyers, again, were not a great possession team last year. I know he had some tougher matchups, so he didn't have the best fantasy stats, but 1.75 points per game, that's really a bona fide second liner rate. Goals for percentage when he was on the ice above 50%. So he was moving the needle for the Flyers in the right direction. And again, last year did it as on his entry level deal. Now getting paid 3.75 over the next 2 seasons. That's a great contract. And again, I think a first in Sheelovs, would that be enough to pry Forster out of Philadelphia? That might be tough. Maybe they would have to add a player like Sasson to it, but it's the Flyers team in transition right now. And you see them making some moves, taking some swings for guys like Zegras. Maybe they look to move off a guy like Forster if they want to make a bigger move as well. So again, he'd be a guy I think that would be a nice to have on the Canucks. Fits their age group.
Yeah, no, sorry to cut you off. Okay, they get the assets, they get the first round pick. They want to move that ASAP for somebody else. Who knows? Because again, they just signed this guy, but who knows? Okay, let's go to the Karlsson thing because that's interesting. Vegas, people are looking at that move for them being like a must. Vegas coming out pretty much saying like they don't want to move Karlsson. Maybe he's like a forever Knight and like he's part of the nucleus there. Like he's a good guy. But 20.
Yeah, they said that about Marchessault though as well too.
Exactly. Did he have like 30 points in 60 games or whatever? So he's on the.
Karlsson did not have a great season. I think he had 29 points, but he missed a lot of time. It was 29 points in like 53 games, I think it was.
53, 55, 60, whatever it was. $6 million still for the next 2 years. 3rd round pick only. I wonder if they're doing that. I mean, Vegas is pretty drastic with their salary dumps. Like it feels as if they're never looking for a lot. They're just looking to make the next move ASAP, right? So you never know. You never know.
Canucks got Nate Schmidt for a 3rd round pick. He was a top 4 defenseman. William Karlsson's basically a 3rd line center on that team. So I think that's a realistic trade.
Didn't Fleury win the Vezina and they traded him for nothing?
Exactly.
Like the very next year. So yeah, you never know. And the Canucks do need help down the middle. And to me, it's kind of similar to like the Claude Giroux thing where I'm like, yeah, the Canucks have to pay like $7 million to a guy for like 2 or 3 years. I mean, we just saw what Marchand did as an older player. Like I'm down to do that to fix that hole down the middle, as opposed to doing like something crazy where you're trading Willander for Rossi and like you don't even know. And then you got to sign Rossi for 8 years. Like remember, Rossi got demoted. He got demoted straight up. So I'm okay with that 3rd round pick for William Karlsson's contract. I'm okay with that. And the Robertson one, it's ironic because I'm talking about the other Robertson on the other side. Okay, I made a couple of my own trade rumors, and We'll talk about it. Get into the comments. Garland, Willander, and Gavin McKenna, the first overall pick, maybe Gavin McKenna for Jason Robertson. Okay, would you do it?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. Maybe the Canucks can put a protection to get it out of, winning the lottery, but they can't put too many protections on it if they want to keep the value there to get a guy like Jason Robertson. Risky business with the Canucks. I mean, you got to take risks this offseason, man, and I think that's a risk for Jason Robertson that I'd be willing to take. Okay, let's get to Kyle's trade proposals. The latest on Suter and Garland, all coming up on the other side here on Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at wonderful Pistachios. Man, oh man, coming from the nuttiest Canucks podcast on the web, we got to tell you about these nuts, man, because these nuts, they're tasty, they're delicious, and they're nutritious, and they're also a good source of protein, baby, because each 1 ounce serving of wonderful pistachios has 6 grams of protein, giving over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. And you know me, shoving those naked nuts in my mouth morning, noon, and night because I love the no-shells variety of wonderful pistachios, okay? No shells, just take the nuts, pop them in my mouth. Delicious. And if you're like Kyle Bhawan and you like the tease, you like to undress that nut, the in-shell options are also a classic favorite, and that's Kyle Bhawan's favorite, man. Mr. Tease Bhawan over there, buddy. So whatever wonderful pistachio you like, make sure you get crackin' and get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Canucks. Big week ahead, a lot of trades coming up. The draft at the end of the week. I didn't even know that, even though I should know that because my girlfriend's birthday is on Tuesday. And yeah, I got to get her a gift. I actually mentioned how I'm probably going to help my brother move on that day. And I think she found out that I was bullshitting. And I actually want to just stay at home and watch TSN all morning. But I'll deal with that later. It is what it is. Yo, Canuck fan first, right? Hey. That's just the way. Trevor, I'm just going to shut up and read the comments, okay? People on the fence about the whole Karlsson thing, right? To some extent. But there was one comment that made me think about like the makeup of this team and why it could work. Where is it? There's a lot of people going off here. It's about Karlsson being an excellent defensive forward. Okay, Dan Jardine saying Karlsson is an excellent defensive forward. Could be a solid 2C. Could be a solid mentor to a guy like Atu Ratu, right? Right? Could be the complete polar opposite of JT Miller. Because JT Miller showed us one good year of defensive hockey. And then like last year, remember how, talk about a guy, you know how guys, I understand a lot of stuff was happening in the room, but the fact that he was willing to just like not give up on the ice as well, like the old JT was coming back after the team had some success like 4 months ago, it just tells you like, how badly did this guy actually want to win? You know what I'm saying? His willingness to just not play defense was just, what's going on with you? Anyways, I know we need a lot more offense, but if the cost is low to get Karlsson from Vegas through the door with some of that winning pedigree and just seems like a good guy, normal guy, I wouldn't mind doing it. I wouldn't mind doing it, Trevor.
No, and honestly, when I look at William Karlsson, I mean, I think it's kind of like Filipino in the sense that ideally he's not your 2C. Again, he's a 93 guy. He's not that old, Kyle. You and I are born in 1993. Okay, we're not the oldest guys in the world, but we are getting up there, right? But I think if you're bringing William Karlsson to Vancouver, you at least have a solid, bona fide checking center with, again, a ton of playoff experience, and just bringing the good vibes to the locker room too, right? Wild Bill with the wild flow. I think that's a situation where hopefully you can take some of the matchups away from a guy like Filipino and allow him to thrive offensively as well. I think worst case scenario, you can kind of shift up William Karlsson to be your 2C, but ideally you want Filipino to take on that role. And I believe in that more than probably a lot of people in Vancouver. As long as he can stay healthy, I think Filipino can do it. Based on the underlying numbers, you give this guy more opportunity, I think he can do it. So I think that's what you're looking for if you target a guy like William Karlsson, a short-term upgrade at the center ice position, and a guy who can take matchups away from a guy like Filipino, allow him to thrive. And if you lose a guy like Pius Suter this offseason as well, William Karlsson's pretty good on the PK too.
Well, there you go. That's what I was going to bring up. But just a small note before we move on from the whole Tyson Forster thing and who the hell is this guy and the wingers thing. Like, maybe that's another way the Vancouver Canucks can get by next year and still take the next step and still impress Quinn Hughes, because there is still some potential in Filipino, like if he doesn't get hurt. And what if, I know we're losing Brock, but I wonder if like the top 6 sees a massive upgrade courtesy of like brand new wingers that support Pettersson, but again, Filipino. And then the second thing I want to say, and it kind of like, again, rubs off of what Trevor just said, ironically, it's the Suter thing. Like, would you rather have William Karlsson or Pius Suter? Considering one is going to cost an asset at $6 million for the next 2 years, and Pius Suter's a UFA. Supposedly, again, the Canucks, it's heating up. I feel like it's going to happen. 5-year deal. That's what I'm hearing. 5-year deal, $22.5 million to stay in Vancouver. Would you rather have that? Karlsson versus Suter?
That's a great question. I think I would probably. It's not a great question. I'd rather have Pius Suter. Again, he's younger by a few years, and I do worry about paying that guy a premium for what he did. But I think again, we've talked about Pius Suter ad nauseum on the show. He's a guy who's going to give elite defensive metrics. His cap hit, although his contract's longer, is going to be lower than William Karlsson. You wouldn't have to give up an asset to get him. And again, he can slide anywhere throughout your lineup too, from second line center to fourth line center to first line wing. So no, I would rather Pius Suter than William Karlsson. Yeah. But I do wonder if they're actually going to be able to get Pius Suter or not. I think that's a fair question.
Talk about that. Like, you're hearing it heat up again. Players are just being taken off the board. Centers are being taken off the board, being signed or traded to other teams. Blah blah blah. Pius Suter, a quality player. Getting closer to July 1st, and apparently, again, the Canucks are phoning that number again. That says something, man. That says something.
Yeah, it's funny. The reports have come out about Suter, right? And I think it was Rick Dhaliwal or maybe Elliot Friedman also reported it too. Insiders saying that the Canucks are now circling back on Pius Suter, and it's like, okay, well, they couldn't sign Matt Duchene. And the trade offer for Rossi was rejected. And, they probably checked out a couple of different avenues. Oh, okay, now let's go back and sign Pius Suter. And it's like, you get that this team, they need to explore their avenues to upgrade the top 6 position. It made sense that Pius Suter wasn't your first choice for upgrading the top 6. But I don't think you're signing Pius Suter to upgrade the top 6. You're signing him because he's a good, versatile hockey player. Ideally, you do want more in your top 6. But a little ironic that now we're seeing the reports when they could have extended Suter 10 months if they really wanted to, and they would have got him at way cheaper than what he's going to sign now. And I think I don't even know if I can say this comment. I'll flash it up quick, but Mother Nucker, I think, hit the nail on the head with the Pius Suter. He's definitely not their first choice here in terms of forwards that they want to bring onto this hockey team next year.
Sloppy second Suter. Like, why can't we say it? What does sloppy mean? I have no. Oh, okay.
Remember Sean Avery was getting canceled for that 10 years ago. So,
yeah. Okay, I remember. Anyways, it is what it is.
You can say it, but it's a family program here. Locked On Canucks, man. All ages show.
Don't be bitter, Pius Suter. If you're getting 4.5 and it's good in Vancouver and it's nice out here and you can have a prominent role, like just take it. And again, you're not signing Pius Suter to be your second line center. You're signing Pius Suter or revisiting it because you're like, you don't want to lose good players. And again, maybe they're signing him because they've been on the phones all month and they're like, oh, we actually can't even take a chance on some of these flyer type players, these project type players. Like, oh, look at what Sam Bennett has done in Florida. We can't even make that trade with other teams who want to get rid of a young player that hasn't worked out, because we don't need a young player that hasn't worked out that may work. Like, we only need to fill up our spots with real legitimate NHL talent, and we can't take chances anymore because we didn't trade Pius Suter and get no assets for him. Like, it would have been nice to get that. They could have got a 3rd and a 4th for Pius Suter. Oh, what's a 3rd and a 4th, bro? Like, at this time, that stuff means a lot. That could have been Mason Marchment. Straight up, it is what it is. Anyways, I got a couple trades to go through that I made up in my mind that I think could make sense. And we got to move on to the Garland thing again. The Canucks want to extend Garland, and I wonder if they can't come down to a price early on if he's a player the Canucks ship for a center. And I've thought about Pavel Zacha. Would you do Zacha for Garland?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I like
Zacha.
Garland better as a player, but you can understand the rationale there. Pavel Zacha, he's basically the same age as Conor Garland. His production's been better than Garland. He plays the center ice position. He's bigger. I'd probably do it, but I'm holding my nose a bit. I don't love it.
I wonder if they do something like that, if they can't get Garland signed this summer. And again, they need a centerman. And they're like, yo, like, well, we're going to give Garland a UFA year next year. Like, what if he just goes off and goes from like a guy you extend for like 5.5 or 6 or whatever the number is, and he somehow gets into a place where he's making like 6.5 or 7? Because there's opportunity here, especially with Brock Besser leaving. Like, again, UFA magic.
And I just think from Boston's perspective too, like Boston in a similar position in Vancouver.
Are you good? You're lagging a bit.
Sorry, buddy. I was just saying that, Boston is in a similar situation as Vancouver, where they have pretty terrible center ice depth, right? Pavel Zacha is one of the better centers on that team. Are they trading Pavel Zacha for Conor Garland? I mean, Conor Garland's a Michigan guy. That story would be nice. But I'm trying to think of, would Boston even do that trade, Zacha for Garland? I'm thinking that they probably wouldn't do it.
Conor Garland is a Massachusetts guy, a Michigan guy. He's like from the Boston area, right?
He's from Massachusetts, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There could be, I don't know. I think Garland's cachet around the league has like under the radar been growing, like a quality player. Again, like somebody that you can look at the fancy stats and be like, damn, this guy's like getting chances and he's always having the puck. And when he's on the ice, like the team just, again, they're in the offensive zone. And then you look at the film as well and you're like, okay, he kind of matches it. If he's in the right spot, like, could this guy be a 65, 70 point guy? Could he be a 50, could he be a quality, just a guy that kind of switches the pendulum? You never know. I wonder how much that cachet has around the league. And I would do it. Garland for Zacha. That sounds crazy. Cause like Garland is such a favorite and they just hung a banner at him at Rogers Arena and they want to extend him. I just think that there's a chance that if they don't get a contract this summer, that he's a piece they use to fix their spot down the middle. Okay.
Yeah,
the second one I got was the second one I thought of was Nick Robertson, Jason's brother. And looking at him as like, again, I know he's a different type of player, maybe probably not a playoff player. He didn't play any playoff games for Toronto, maybe played 3, but that's all. Could you get him for a 4th round pick, a 5th round pick? We need wingers. We need offense. Could he find a scenery here and like make it happen? I mean, he's maybe on the other side, you can pull up his fancy stats and like really give us like more of a detailed, I don't know, a bit of a logic around the player. But when you look at the box sheet, he doesn't get a lot of opportunity, but in the NHL, he produces.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating one, Kyle. And, you think of the Podkolzin trade, right? Yeah, Podkolzin for a 4th round pick. Could the Canucks trade a 4th round pick to get Nick Robertson now? The only thing that gives you some pause there, and we kind of talked about it last season when Beauvillier was still a Canuck, which seems like a lifetime ago. Would the Canucks be comfortable rostering Nick Robertson, Nils Höglander, and Conor Garland all in their forward group, right? You got 3 pretty small forwards there. And I know Garland's tenacious and Höglander's got some tenacity in his game. And same with Nick Robertson to a certain extent. But how many of those guys could you have on your team? The Canucks decided last year, I mean, Beauvillier was gone pretty quick, right? So if that happened, but Kyle, in your scenario, Conor Garland's getting traded to Boston anyway. So maybe Nick Robertson's that guy that maybe replaces Conor Garland to an extent there too. So Nick Robertson's, I think, an interesting target because he has been underutilized in Toronto. I think he's got more to give there.
Exactly. I've seen him play because Toronto plays a lot of games. Like you could see flashes, of a pretty good player. Dude, at the end of the day, the prototype of player is so hard to replicate in like the Sam Bennett thing, but like trading like a 2nd and a 3rd round pick or a 2nd and a 5th for a player that's not doing well but has some pedigree and it working out is not mission impossible. And that type of the second round pick does mean a lot. Like that, there's a lot of value there, but I feel like we're going down that path where the Canucks like are gonna make a trade, like involving like a younger player. Like as again, Robertson wouldn't need to give up a second to get a guy like that, but that package, that Zegras package, I think it's going to be like a sexy template for other teams to follow this summer.
100%. Let us know in the comments of the 5 guys that Kyle and I listed today is trades the Canucks could make this week. Pavel Zacha, Nick Robertson, William Karlsson, Jason Robertson, Tyson Forster. Which of those 5 guys is most likely to come to the Canucks this week? All right, let's cut to a very late break here and talk a little bit more about the Garland news, the Abbotsford Canucks, and get some of your comments here on the other side on Locked On Canucks. Before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're about baseball under the lights, golf in the green, high-stakes soccer action, or my favorite, the CFL, the poor CFL, FanDuel is making it easy to make the games even more exciting. And if you've been already following the action, why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. On FanDuel recently, I was seeing something about the odds for landing Mitch Marner, and guess what? The Vegas Golden Knights at the top of that list. Because, of course, Vegas, man, come on. All the top talent goes to Vegas. And that's why William Karlsson, he's coming to the Vancouver Canucks. So whatever bet you're placing, make sure you do it on FanDuel. Are you new to FanDuel? Because new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Let's go.
Boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam. Okay, we back doing this, and that's having fun talking about the Canucks, gearing up for the summer, forgetting about my girlfriend's birthday. Things are just regular here, okay? For real. Anywho, smash the like button, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating on the podcast side of things. Trevor's got a family. I got a disappointed love in my life, and positivity, man. You gotta look out for your neighbors, man. Can I just continue to shut up and read the comments? I'm seeing a lot of comments regarding the number 1 line for the Abbotsford Canucks, right? A lot of Linus Karlsson talk, a lot of Sasan, a lot of Baines talk, right? These guys filling out the bottom of their lineup. We have RD Jandy talking about it. I think I saw Dan talk about it as well. Huh?
Quick shout out to RD Jandal, man.
Okay.
Canucks Abby fan too on Twitter back in the day. One of my old colleagues in Nuts Misconduct. One love to you, buddy. Hope life is well. This guy, he knows the Abby Canucks, and I'm not gonna lie. How most of the time when I hear like, "Oh, this HL line would be perfect at the NHL level," I think to myself like, let's pump the brakes a bit. Let's not overvalue these guys. But I think there's something to be said right now about the chemistry that these 4 guys are showcasing together in the AHL, and they really all do bring something different to the line, right? Karlsson with his grit and tenacity, going to the net. Sasson with his speed. Baines with that hockey IQ. I do think that they were an interesting line to potentially be together next season for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, if they're going to do that, like even when I did the exercise about the Canucks acquiring Robertson, Forster, and William Karlsson, I still had a 4th line next year of Drew O'Connor, Teddy Bluger, and Linus Karlsson. Now, it could take just one of those guys being injured or Teddy Bluger being traded for guys like Sasan and Baines to be up there too. But again, I think all 3 of those guys are showing NHL potential right now, and the chemistry that they've shown shouldn't be ignored. And we'll see if they can, they've got 17 points in the last 3 AHL games, I think it was, combined. So we'll see if they can help Abby bring home the Calder Cup tonight at the Bojangles Coliseum.
One love to James Moore for also commenting about the exact same thing. Loving the speed of Baines, Sasan, and Karlsson and Abbotsford. Okay, a nice plug-and-play 4th line for Vancouver to start the next year. And here's my thoughts, okay? I watched Game 5. Abbotsford. That's the first time I ever watched a full AHL game. And these teams do not like to play defense. I don't know if that's an everyday thing in the AHL, but the defense is totally different out there. So I get why it may be hard to just translate, or make the connection between success from one league to the other, for real. That all being said, I'm telling you, my favorite out of those three continues to be Max Hassan, and I say that more often than not because he's just a good hockey player, and he actually looked the most comfortable this year. Like Carlson looked good later in the year, which surprised me, and he actually looked really good with Pettersson and Höglander for one game, but then Rick Tocchet decided to press the blender because I'm pretty sure this guy quit. Like he just didn't even want this team to be successful. He's like, I don't want to play one round. Let me get out of here in April. All in all, though, Sasan just giving me some give me some hope. Okay, and Sasan is interesting because I think a poor man's Max Sasan, and I say the same thing about Niels Höglander as well. It's like Conor Garland, just small guys all over the puck. The puck follows them. They're speedy, and we had somebody else in the comment ask like, would you rather pay Suter and trade Garland, or pay Garland and just like forget about signing Suter in this last week? Because again, I think there is something to say about negotiations between the Canucks and Garland happening right now. And yeah, they have 13 months to make something work out, but I'm actually more confident than ever that there could be a Conor Garland trade right now, because I guarantee this guy's gonna have a career year next year. I guarantee it. I know it. UFA Conor Garland, you're seeing a different level of someone. Okay, he's gonna get to 60 to 70 points, and it's gonna cost a lot to keep the guy. And some fascinating stuff, man. My mind's working in a lot of different ways, and I think I'm onto something here.
Yeah, and even with your Zaka for Garland deal, I didn't mention Zaka 1 year, 2 years left on his deal, I should say, compared to one for Garland. Pretty much the same cap for both. Zaka at 4.75, Garland at 4.95. Interesting that we both had Conor Garland in our trade scenarios, right? Mine in a package for Robertson, you in a package for Zaka. I tend to agree with you, Kyle. I think Conor Garland, just in terms of media interviews, showed a little bit of hesitation in staying in Vancouver long term. And we've seen some comments about his political views. Obviously, he's a Boston guy. We'll see. He's obviously beloved in Vancouver because he's great at what he does, but wouldn't shock me if he's in a package for a bigger trade as well.
Trevor, like when he got asked about it the last time around, like I feel like the first thing he said, maybe it was the second thing he said, it was like, I'll let my agent do everything. My agent can handle that. My agent can handle that. My agent can handle that. And again, there's a lot of rightfulness in that answer. And to take his side a bit, like, why would he want to stay in Vancouver? Like, no, real talk. He's been here forever, and they've always lost, other than 1 year, right? And like, he seems like an uber competitor. So it's gonna take money to keep him. And like James Moore's like, I don't know if this is true, but if like, is Garland asking for $7 million this summer? I don't know.
Oh, I 100%. I think that's from his $5 million. That's basically just cap inflation. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
Trevor, man, you work in the financial industry too, so you can confirm this. This is nuts, man. I can't. No, you can't be asking for $7 million if you're like this guy. It's hard for this guy to reach 55 points. Like, ask for that next year, when he gets to 60 to 70 points. Am I right?
He's going to be asking for $8 million.
That's
nuts. The cap's 80. It's 88.5 right now, I guess. Could be 95.5. So it's going to be 113.5 million, right? Cap's going up literally $25 million. We're going to start to see some salaries that make our eyeballs pop out of our eye shells. Eye sockets, you know what I mean?
If I'm the Canucks, you know what I'm doing? I'm gassing Garland up, putting him on more podcasts and letting him do all the shows. And then I'm calling Philadelphia every single week. And I'm like, 2026 first round pick and Conor Garland for Travis Konechny. Let's do it. In my opinion, Konechny's like Matthew. No, he's not as good as Matthew Tkachuk, but he's like the middle between Tkachuk and Sam Bennett. Like, just an absolute piece of shit. Great player. This guy could help you win playoff series. Like, I want that guy. Like, if I'm trading a first round pick to Philadelphia, like I'm not I'm not caring about what's this guy Tyson Folgers make your
Forrester.
coffee a wonderful day. What's his name? Forrester. Okay, Tyson, clean up the forest. Okay. If I'm giving a first round pick to Philadelphia, dude, I'm stacking up the assets on top of that first round pick to just try to get Travis Konechny.
I mean, between my trade of a 2026 a first round pick, Conor, Garland, and Willander for Robertson, I would much rather do Garland and a 2026 first for Konechny. Mainly because it lets you keep Willander.
Oh, lets you keep Willander. Yeah. So, okay. Because you could tell, like, you know, if Rick Tocchet, like, hasn't watched a lot of Eastern Conference games over the last, like, 2 years, but even Konechny before 2023 was still a very, very effective player. Like, you could see that this guy's just a dog.
And he's cost control too, right? We talk about Garland maybe asking for $8 million if he has a good season. Travis Konechny is just about to start a deal paying him $8.75 million a season for the next 8 years.
So I wonder if, like, you could get Rick Tocchet to, like, hear about this deal, and it's like, oh wow, like, honestly, in the right environment and in the right system, and in that Philadelphia city where the culture's gritty, like, I'm pretty sure Conor Garland can turn into Konechny. Like, you know, maybe he'll convince the Flyers brass to, like, view Conor Garland as just as good as a player, and then it can happen. But I doubt it. Would you do Garland and Demko for Konechny?
Probably, yeah.
So you think that?
Oh, dead. I'm such a believer in Demko, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
Again, that's one that I would probably pull the trigger on, but I don't feel great about it.
Okay, let's end it on this note. Everyone leave a comment after this video is posted. Let us know on the Spotify side as well if you want to get on the action or join the Discord, and let's just talk about it all together. You know, we got the best fans in the world. One love to you and you and you and you. What would you pay Conor Garland right now? Like, what's the most you would go for him? And then sign us out. Okay, one left, everyone listening.
There we go, man. Tough question, man. Tough question. And hey, we appreciate all of you for tuning into Locked On.
Let me know, Trevor. Trevor, you let me know right now. I want to hear, like, you
want me to tell you how much I pay Conor Garland?
Yeah, what are you paying Conor Garland right now?
I'd be offering him a deal, 5 years, $6.75 million a season.
Okay, I like it. Thank you, Trevor.
No problem, man. No problem. One love to the Abbotsford Canucks. Again, the Abbotsford Canucks playing the Charlotte Checkers coming up pretty soon here. Again, we appreciate all of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. Hopefully, we're talking about a Calder Cup win for your Abbotsford Canucks tonight on Locked On Canucks. Whenever we tune in, whenever we pop out on the show next, you know that we cover your Canucks every damn day. If you like what we're doing, go share the pod with your friends. For now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bound. Big week ahead, and we got you covered here on Locked On Canucks.